And good afternoon, Dr. Lorene. If we can do a mic check, please.
Good afternoon. I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Felsenfeld, this is the moderator. We do have a quorum of members present, so at 3:30, I will begin the recording and turn the floor over to you.
That will be fine. Thank you.
This meeting is being recorded.
Ms. Wallace, is staff ready for the meeting?
Hi, Dr. Felsenfeld. Yes, staff are ready to begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this Dental Board of California meeting. I am Dr. Alan Felsenfeld and serve as the president of the board. Today is Monday, March 28th, 2022. This board meeting is being held via WebEx. In accordance with Government Code Section 11133 and Governor Gavin Newsom's Executive Order N-1-22, this meeting will be held by teleconference with no physical locations. For all those who wish to participate, please log on to the WebEx website provided on the posted agenda for this meeting. Instructions to connect to the meeting are provided on the agenda. The preferred audio connection is via telephone conference and not the microphone and speakers on your computer. The phone number and access code will be provided as part of your connection to the meeting. Since this meeting is being conducted by WebEx, I will ask all board members and speakers to announce themselves by name before speaking for clarity of the official record. All board members are able to unmute themselves to speak during the meeting. Please place yourself back on mute when not speaking to reduce background noise for all participants. When making a motion, please use the raised hand feature to be called upon and then verbally state your motion or second so staff can identify the motion and second for the meeting record. During a discussion on an agenda item, please use the raised hand feature if you wish to speak, and I will call on you. Following such online meeting etiquette will ensure the best audio quality for everyone. During each call for comments from board members and speakers, we will ensure that all comments that can be accommodated are heard before proceeding with the agenda. This is an official business meeting of the Dental Board of California. The board welcomes public comments on any item on the agenda, and it is the board's intent to ask for public comments prior to the board taking any action on any agenda item. The DCA moderator will explain the process for providing public comments shortly. When called upon, the moderator will give the individual permission to unmute himself or herself, and they will have 2 minutes to make public comment. The moderator will audibly announce when 30 seconds remain to conclude the public comment. After the 2 minutes have lapsed, the individual will be placed back on mute. Only one public comment per agenda item is allowed per attendee. Depending on the number of people who wish to testify on a particular agenda item, a total time limit may be imposed. We ask all speakers to please stay on topic and not repeat testimony already provided. If you agree with testimony already provided, please just state your name and that you are in support of any comments previously provided. I would now like to ask the DCA moderator to please explain how public comments will be taken during this WebEx meeting.
Thank you. To facilitate public comment today, we will be utilizing the question and answer feature within WebEx. You will hear me refer to this as the Q&A. When the board reaches a point in the agenda at which public comment is appropriate, the Q&A feature will be turned on, and members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by inserting the phrase, "I would like to make a comment," or simply the word "comment" into the question box. This question box can be located by clicking on the question mark inside of a square that should appear in the lower right corner of your screen. I will then call on individuals in the order that they are received for the requests and give the individual permission to unmute their own microphone. When I do so, you'll see a button pop up on your end that says unmute me. Clicking that button will then allow your microphone to unmute. Each individual will have 2 minutes to make their comments, as Dr. Felsenfeld indicated, and I will be providing a 30-second reminder before your time expires. At the conclusion of the 2 minutes, your microphone will be muted, and I will move on to the next member of the public who has a comment. For those members who might be joining us via phone call, you can indicate that you'd like to make a comment by raising your hand, and you can do that by dialing *3. Please note that the question and answer feature is being used only as a means for the members of the public to represent that they would like to make a verbal comment. This is not a means to ask questions of the moderator or members of the board. Such inquiries submitted using this feature will not be answered. When making your comment, please make sure the comment is directed at the host in the drop-down. While you are free to express criticism or negative views, for the sake of the members of the public participating on the call, please do not use profane language when making public comments to the board. I will provide a reminder of this approach at the start of the public comment items. And finally, I would like to remind board members and senior staff that when you're not speaking, please keep your microphone muted to minimize background noise. And with that, I will turn the floor back over to Dr. Felsenfeld.
Thank you, DCA moderator. I would like to call the meeting to order and ask the board secretary to please call the roll.
This is Dr. Sonia Molina, Board Secretary, and I will now call the roll. Chan.
Chan, aye.
Chan, present. Felsenfeld.
Felsenfeld here.
Felsenfeld, present. Larin. Mackenzie.
Mackenzie here.
Mackenzie, present. Medina.
Medina here.
Medina, present. Mendoza. Molina, present. Montel. Morrow.
Morrow, present.
Morrow, present. Pacheco.
Pacheco here.
Pacheco, present. Olagi.
Olagi present.
Olagi, present. You.
You present.
You present. So we have 9 out of 12. Is that a quorum?
It is a quorum, as I recall.
Yes,
We're
it is
fine.
a quorum. Okay.
Thank you, board secretary. We'll now move on to agenda item number 2, finding of necessity for a special meeting according to Government Code Section 11125.4. This meeting has been noticed as a special meeting pursuant to Government Code Section 11125.4. In accordance with Government Code Section 11125.4, Subdivision C, at the commencement of this meeting, the board must make a finding that the delay necessitated by providing notice 10 days prior to the meeting, as required by Government Code Section 11125, would cause a substantial hardship on the board, or that immediate action is required to protect the public interest. Such a finding must set forth the specific facts that constitute the hardship to the board or the impending harm to the public interest. And the finding must be adopted by a 2/3 vote of the board or a unanimous vote of those members present. This meeting is being convened to discuss a pending litigation matter on which the board must take immediate action. The delay to provide 10 days notice will impose a significant hardship on the board because the board will not be able to meet and adopt a position on the filing of a petition for rehearing relative to pending litigation in sufficient time for such petition to be drafted, approved, and filed in the Court of Appeals by the March 31st, 2022 deadline. Is there any board member discussion on this issue? Please use the raised hand feature. Seeing none, I'm going to take the privilege of making the motion myself, which is perfectly acceptable. I'd like to move that finding that the delay necessitated by providing notice 10 days prior to the meeting as required by Government Code Section 11125 would impose a substantial hardship on the board because the board will not be able to meet and adopt a position on the filing of a petition for rehearing relative to pending litigation in sufficient time for such request to be drafted, approved, and filed in the Court of Appeals by the March 31st filing deadline. Do we have a second? Dr. Chan, do I see you?
Yes, this is Dr. Chan. I second it.
Thank you. Do we have any board discussion? Seeing none, do we have any public comment? Moderator, would you please facilitate the lines for public comment?
This is the moderator. I've opened that Q&A panel. If you'd like to request a comment, please click on that Q&A icon on your screen that looks like a question mark inside of a square. Type the word comment or the phrase, "I would like to make a comment," into the text box and submit that to your host. If we have any call-in users, you can raise your hand by dialing *3. Not seeing any requests for comment. Would you like me to close the panel?
Thank you. Yes. Board Secretary, please call the roll and record votes for this agenda item.
Chan,
Chan, I.
and I. Fessenfeld,
Felsenfeld, aye.
Fessenfeld, I. Mackenzie,
Mackenzie, yes.
Mackenzie, I. Medina,
Medina, I.
Medina, I. Molina, I. Mantel, Morrow,
Morrow, I.
Morrow, I. Olagi,
Olagi, I.
Olagi, I. Pacheco,
Pacheco, I.
Pacheco, I. You,
I.
you, I. Motion passes.
I was skipped. Dr.
Oh,
I, Ladin.
Dr. Larin,
Yes.
thank you,
Thank you,
Doctor.
Board Secretary. Thank you, Board Secretary. We will now move on to agenda item 3, public comment on items not on the agenda. As we move into the public comment period of items not on the agenda, please note that in accordance with Government Code Section 11452.10, Subdivision A4, the Board, as the adjudicator in administrative discipline matters, cannot take public comment on any pending disciplinary matters. Accordingly, if an individual makes comments on a pending disciplinary matter, the individual's microphone will be muted. Of course, if the public comment raises concerns with statutes under the Dental Practice Act, the board may choose to discuss these matters at a future board meeting. As always, the board will not respond to any questions asked during the public comment period. Are there any public comments? DCA moderator, please facilitate the lines for public comment.
This is the moderator. I've again opened that Q&A panel. If you'd like to comment on an item not on today's agenda, please access that Q&A panel. Send the word comment to the host. And for call-in users, you may raise your hand by dialing *3. And seeing no requests, would you like me to close the panel?
Please do. Thank you, moderator. We will now move on to agenda item number 4, which will be a recess of the open session and the beginning of a closed session. At this time, the board will recess open session and convene in closed session. At the conclusion of closed session, the board will return to open session strictly for the purpose of meeting adjournment. Due to technological limitations, adjournment of open session will not be broadcast. Adjournment will immediately follow closed session, and there will be no other items of business discussed. So let us go into closed session now. Please let us know when we are at that level.
Thank you. This is the moderator. I would politely ask all of our public attendees who are not participating in this closed session to please log off of the WebEx now.